pleased to bring on Kevin Harlan. He was on the call last night for TNT. I've always wanted to pick the mind of a genius. Now, did you have that running around your head somewhere before the game that if these two get into it, that's clever? Or are you a spur-of-the-moment genius?
Oh, well, I'm not a genius, but I am spur of the moment. And it could have been a lot of weird stuff that I may have said along the way. I have always kind of believed that you don't plant things in your head. Storylines, clearly, because we had read about Draymond's comments in the podcasts on Brooks. They addressed it pregame with the horde of media. And so, it was in there, but that did not cross my mind until it happened. And it was kind of odd because we talked to Steve about it in our pregame meeting, Steve Kerr, and asked him about a volatile, emotional, passionate player like Brooks going up against a passionate, emotional guy like Draymond. And he said that, we've talked, and usually Draymond is very buttoned down, and I expect nothing less of that from him tonight. And sure enough, as I went back and watched, we didn't have a very good view of it from where we were courtside, but it was Brooks doing all the kind of antagonizing, and Green kind of was trying to turn to the side, get out of the way, and not engage. And I think a four-time champion can feel that way. Oh, he's as decorated as any guy in the league right now, and probably just felt, listen, until this guy does anything beyond the second round, he and I have nothing to talk about.
Right,
so,
right.
And he's right. So anyway, no, I did not have that stashed away. I'm not that smart, number one, and I don't even know if it was that good a comment, but
no, it was
funny.
You got to chuckle out here, absolutely.
Okay,
let me ask you this, Kevin. And one of the things we out here, we've seen every Warrior game, and sometimes when you see them all the time, you have a chance. You have little tunnel vision. But for someone like you who probably checks in with them periodically, you might have a better view. What did you see last night from that team, the Golden State Warriors, that looks different than the team you've probably watched for the last 8-10 years?
Well, Jonathan didn't play, Kuminga didn't play, and twisted the ankle. I'm not sure exactly what the prognosis is, but it happened in pregame, and I'm not sure if it's a 2-week thing or what it's going to be. Clearly, he is a factor and a guy that they include. I don't know, a couple things. Number one, I think as close as the West is from number 2 on, a little hot run of 4 or 5 wins in a row, as we saw the Dubs do at home with that 5-game winning streak, can get you back in the top 4, which is what everybody's aiming for, and certainly the top 6, but avoiding, like the plague, 7 through 10, because those are the play-in numbers, and no one wants to have extra games, practices, travel, and everything else that comes with it. So, being one of the top 6 is goal number 1, and being in the top 4 would be the dream. And I don't see why there's any reason that a defending champion with the basic core still there can't be there. Now, listen, we don't know what Gary Payton is going to bring when he comes back from the injury, but I think he's closer than further away, is my impression. And his defense was vital against the Celtics last year in the finals. He makes them different defensively. And, of course, in the broader picture, we know that some of the young kids have not panned out the way they wanted, whether it was the center, it was the high pick, or the player out of Arkansas, Moses Moody. I mean, it just, Wiseman and Moody were 2 guys that think they really thought, you know what, they're going to just absorb everything we have here. And the issue is you've got Moody, who played 1 year of college basketball, and Wiseman, who only played 3 games of college basketball and was injured a lot as he was getting into the NBA. And I know it's tired to hear that, but that is such the truth with these young players. So Moody is chomping at the G League level and getting valuable minutes. Still a part of the franchise, clearly. And Wiseman's going to hope to kind of rebuild himself a little bit, maybe with a little bit less pressure on him than he was having at Golden State. Not that it was exerted on him, but, when you're drafted that high and with a defending champion or with a team of championship caliber players and Hall of Famers like they've got, it begins to maybe creep in on you a little bit. Hey, why aren't you answering? Why aren't you stepping in line, following what we're doing, and he probably tried. It's just he just needs time. These are young kids. So when the NBA says with the players they're going to lower the drafting age to 18, I go, you've got to be kidding me. These kids can hardly maneuver where they are right now at 19 and 20, let alone at 18. And now you're going to put them in at 18 and take veterans' positions to keep a young 18-year-old kid. What it really looks like to me is they want to build that G League even more, and they're going to do it. Kids are going to leave. If the NIL money isn't there, they're going to go and put themselves for the draft or become an undrafted kid and go to the G League and try to hook on that way. Anyway, I'm getting off target, but the point is that did you see how explosive they were last night when they needed to be? That was a big game for Memphis too. They're struggling. This Morant thing is a huge black cloud over the team, and they needed that almost worse than, I know it was the 8th consecutive loss on the road, but they almost needed that worse than the Warriors did, I thought, last night.
Yeah, and Kevin, it's interesting because how stunning is it in a way that you see it in short spurts still, and even saw it in short spurts last night from the Warriors, what they can be when they're on their game, but they're still disconnected and the defense is bad, and it's especially bad on the road, and then there's almost a veteran versus young player disconnect on play. Like, they have it, but when they call for it, they can't always get to it. Like, how stunning has that been to watch as you've kind of evaluated this team this year?
Well, if they weren't as old as they were and hadn't done as much as they had done and, weren't destined for Springfield one day, I'd say, uh-oh. But I guess I don't say that. I mean, listen, this regular season is too long. They're just trying to stay above water, keep their health, and fine-tunes the thing they need to fine-tune. I mean, clearly it's frustrating. Losing 8 on the road does not bode well if you aren't one of the top 4 teams and have road games more than home. And, in the first round of the playoffs, that is not good. But this is a team that when they were on last night and into it, so to speak, not that they weren't, or not that they weren't trying. I don't mean to imply that at all. I just think that, we've still got another 14, whatever it is, games to go. And this team is just kind of not laying in the weeds. I just think right now that I think they're saving their best for last, quite frankly. And it was disappointing to see that last night, but that Memphis team was all in, man. I mean, they had to prove to themselves after some embarrassing time, and they've lost 2 starters, including the kind of the figurehead of their team in Morant, and their best bench guy. And there was some real question of, they don't have the depth, they don't have the wherewithal, they don't have the pedigree and the resume to say, yep, we'll survive this. The Warriors do. But I agree. It's pretty hard to watch at times. At other times, it's so beautiful, you just can't believe how beautiful it is. And there were segments of the game last night where the passing was crisp and the shots were on and the screens were laid and the cutting was there and all the things that this team is about. But I'm telling you, I mentally, for guys in their 30s who have done as much as they've done, I think this is just a real grind, and which is it points right at the length of the season, which is too long. And see, a game like last night, if it's in football, or if it's in a season where there's a limited number of games, you begin to think, oh my God, the fall's falling down and the sky's falling down on us. But in the NBA, you got another game. You have a chance to win at home against Milwaukee, and then you can play another game on Monday and get a win there against another good team. And so, it's just like, all right, what's up next? What's up next? How many more games? What's the calendar say? Is the clock ticking any faster? And just to finish in the top 6, I think for all these teams, Denver aside, but for 2 through 7 and 8, I mean, finishing in the top 6 is right now the only thing I think they want to do. Home and road, even though the Warriors' road record is just hard to look at. I'm not sure that has as much bearing anymore. Yeah, you don't have to travel, and yeah, you're in your own bed, and yeah, I get all that, but I don't know, a team like this with those Hall of Famers and what they've got, what they've been through, I think they just say, let's tighten the screws. We're ready to go and buckle up because it's coming up.
Kevin Harlan joining us on 95.7 The Game. You heard him last night. Warriors at Memphis. He works for TNT. If the Warriors don't get it done, let me just ask you to put on a little future prediction here. Do you think it's because their big three aren't good enough anymore, or will it be because they didn't have enough help?
You know, there was a lot of hope that the two kids we were talking about before, Wiseman and Moody, were really gonna make a nice jump here and fall right in line and be that nice transitional group along with Jordan Poole of like the next wave. And these guys on paper coming in to that situation had all the credentials you'd want, to join a team like you've already got. And the fact that Moody has been probably slower than anticipated, and Wiseman clearly was whatever the issue was there, it was not taking hold. And to trade a guy drafted that high this quickly after he's become a pro is a pretty telling thing. So that to me becomes the only thing that doesn't really compute. Is that I think most general managers would have bought into what they were doing. All right, Poole is there, established. He's a couple years ahead. Wiseman makes sense, and Moody, has got incredible promise, and comes from a good conference and was the freshman of the year in that good conference. And you think, yeah, okay, they got the guys who are in late 20s, about 30, 31 at the time. You bring these guys in, and then you see that it hasn't happened quite yet. And they got lucky too. With Peyton, Bielitsa. There was Otto Porter Jr. Like they got some nice performances last year. Clearly, you don't win a championship unless everybody's got their fingerprints on it, and all those kids did, and Peyton in particular. I think Peyton comes back, quite frankly. I don't want to put too much on him because the core injury, the abdomen thing, and the muscles that aren't responding or just need a little bit more work. When all that solidifies and that situation comes to fruition and he's healthy to go out there, and if he's anything like he was defensively, I think that's going to be a big shot in the arm for the team. I mean, just it may come at the perfect time, like a week or 10 days away from the end of the regular season with 4 or 5 games to play. It might be the perfect entree for him to join, get back up to speed, get his basketball legs under him, and then provide the one thing that I think everybody agrees that they need right now is just a little bit more on defense. And then that leads to their transition game, and the rest is history. They pass, they move, they cut, they do all those things. They shoot as well as anybody out there when they're on their game. And I just think they're the team I would not want to play. Not just the defending champions, but they have guys that can just kill you. And they showed it at times last night, even though the score didn't reflect that.
Yeah, Kevin, it's going to be interesting as we head down the stretch. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it, and we love your work out here.
You're nice to say that. Thanks. Always fun to be out with you guys. Take care.
All right.